All right, so we'll continue where we left off last time. So where we left off basically is here. And let me actually pull the mock-up back up. This is what we were, am I sharing my screen? I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, this is basically that mock-up that we were trying to build on these 4 panels. And so far, what we've got is the first 4. We just got the colors together here. And the reason we have this black and white is from last time. What we were trying to do was separate this section from this section, and we gave it a background color of black here and then white here, just so that we can see that like it's actually taking up the amount of space that we wanted to take up. Now we'll start like putting things into like these areas so that we're like seeing this start to come to life. I'm gonna show you something else that I didn't teach yet, but it's a good resource to have. We can see that we have like a specific type of font right here. What I wanted to do was like some of the default fonts for the browser don't really look the best. So what I'm going to do is bring in some font that from online. And Google has a resource of fonts. If you go to fonts.google.com, you can scroll through and then pick whatever font you want. I'm just going to pick the first one here. I'm going to click on it. And then you select the type of fonts that you want. It has like thin fonts. We have italic fonts here. And as you scroll down more and more, you see thicker and thicker fonts. The way you bring these fonts in is very similar to how you bring in your CSS. So first, you want to select all of the different fonts you want to add. All of them. I'm just going to add all of them, just in case we change some of these fonts up. So it's basically going to make available all of the fonts that I selected. Then what you want to do is go down to this box here, and you want to copy all of this code. This is a link tag, the same type of link tag that we were using with CSS. And I'm gonna go to the code, and I'm gonna give you this link in the chat also. I'm gonna go to the code and then paste that here. So this is literally just a CSS file. Well, actually, this file is a different type of file, but we're linking all of those fonts by using this. It's basically going online and then bringing those fonts back to your app to make them available for you. Let me paste in the link tag there. And in case anyone's screen don't look like mine's, we can see that like my text is wrapping around here. Like it's not like this is all one line right here. The reason it looks like this.
What should I do?
Just quick question.
Yeah.
Which of the, I went to fonts.google.com. Which one of those, and I see the Roboto, the IBM Perplex, which one of those fonts were you using?
I was using the this one here, Roboto. I pasted in the
You're not. I'm missing.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the website. I pasted it.
Go upstairs and come.
Oh, you go upstairs. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like I'm not taking the class.
What do you mean? Did we not do it last time? I mean, come on, calm down. You gotta be patient when you.
I'm sorry, I put you on mute. Sorry, yeah, I pasted in the link inside of the chat, so you don't have to go to the website. You can go to that afterwards if you want. So that's the link. You just drop it right into the head tag, and now all those fonts are available to you. I'm going to go back to, and I'm gonna copy the CSS rules. This is how we're going to change the font. So I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna put this in the chat also. Put this here. What we want to do with that is go to the CSS file, and then we want to target the body tag. because the body is actually, we want to just target the HTML tag, because HTML tag affects everything. Once we paste in that font, this font is going to affect it's going to affect everything inside of the HTML tag. And that's literally everything inside of here. It should be really indented here. So the font is going to be applied to all of the HTML children. So that's everything. And if I was to, let's say, go back to the HTML, and let's say I put like some text inside of here. This one is that the top left. This is, just to show you a visual, is this one here. I'm gonna put some text inside of this white section here. The white section is this one. I'm just gonna say, just put some long text in there. Refresh, and not the right font. That is not the right font. I save it. One moment. Let me try to figure something out, because this font was supposed to change to the Roboto. Yeah. So right now I'm inside of this the dev tools, and I can see that the reason that the font didn't show up is because the font is not being applied to the paragraph. And it kind of goes without saying, but the reason it's not being applied is because this is now crossed off. There was some font that took a higher priority than the font that I dropped into this. So what I'm going to do is, to make this one a priority, is add something called an important flag. Now, I didn't teach this in the course. Actually, I feel like I think I did teach. I'm not sure. But when you add important, it overrides almost all of the priorities that's inside of the CSS file. The priorities being like ID versus class versus tag name, stuff like that. So,
Isaiah,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Again, it may just be me, but it just seems like we went kind of a few steps beyond where we were at the beginning. I mean, in the last class, and I'm kind of scrambling to kind of figure out. I set up the environment that you told us to get into, and that took a little bit of time. And now I went to the I got copied the text that you put into the box, but I don't know exactly where do I paste that into my. Do I paste it in my HTML file, or do I paste it into my CSS file, first of all?
This text here?
No, not that text, but the code that you used to create the font. Where do I?
Oh, yeah. So you want to paste that in the HTML file. You want to paste that in the head tag.
Head tag. Okay.
Yep, just like the.
So I'm going to go to the HTML file, and I'm going below the div boxes, or I'm going in between, or what line should I be? Head. Okay, I see the head. The head. Before you had meta carousel.
Yeah, where all of these metas are. Yeah, it doesn't matter where in here, as long as it's inside of the head tag.
So I can paste it like line 10. I have link rel style sheet. I can just do it right after that.
Right. Yeah. You can paste it right in there. Let me I'll copy and paste the head tag and put it in the chat in case anybody else weren't at this part or was a little bit confused. I put the head tag there, so you can literally just replace your whole head tag with what I pasted in the chat.
And one other question: when you paste, as I just did, and it fell in my line 13, do does it line up with each other? Is it supposed to line up with each other, or should you be using tabs to line like links? Should they all be like tabbed over? as a part of the family parent relationship?
So you only need one tab here, only because it's only one level deep in there. But what you can do instead of manually doing the tabs, you can right click anywhere inside of the HTML file, and then you can press this format document option. When you press
Okay.
that document, it does everything for you, so you won't have to worry about tabbing or anything.
Ooh, I was going wrong. I was in the wrong.
You can, I'm not, you can't do it in the CSS, but you can do it in HTML. But yeah, let me go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So how you put in the font family with Roberto, when you referring to styling, do you prefer the single quotes over the double quotes, or that really just don't matter?
Yeah, that's a good question. In CSS, it doesn't matter as much, but I see what you're saying, because in JavaScript it does matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter in CSS. Yeah.
Okay, thank
But typically I do, like, even with like CSS, I do double quotes for everything, to be honest. Because there's things beyond HTML and CSS that need double quotes. So I just get in the mindset of just always putting double quotes. But it doesn't matter. So yeah. And the
you.
reason, yeah, no problem. And the reason we have this comma here and we have another font, I'm not sure if I explained this, is because this is like the fallback. We're going to default to Roboto, but if Roboto is not available, it's going to fall back to sans
Go back
serif.
to sharing your screen, fam. My bad. I didn't mean to interject.
Um,
We see you, not your screen.
yeah, it says it's sharing. Let
Yeah, I
me
can see it. I don't know.
yeah.
I can
My
see the whole
bad.
thing.
Yeah, see if it's on a different screen. If not, I can just stop it and reshare. I'm gonna just stop it and reshare just in case.
No,
you
that
guys-
was me. My bad.
Okay. All right, cool. So I pasted this in the chat with the important flag. Let me let me actually see if this works. So I'm not sure if it's gonna work or not. Yeah, so I put the important flag and now that font is now changed to Roboto. Because I put the important flag. It overrides all of the default fonts and stuff like that. So yeah.
And the important flag is just the exclamation point, and then important after that. That's pretty much
Right, right. And to be honest, like with this important flag, you want to limit how often you use it. Like probably use it like maybe once or twice in your code. Only because it's not real good practice to use it everywhere. But once or twice is not too bad. So, yeah, we only use it as a last case, as like a worst case scenario type of thing. I could have left this out and styled this differently, but in sake of time, I just wanted to just drop it in here. So it's just some background about it.
one other thing too. With the important flag is you can put that on everything, right? So it can go on width, it can go on height, it can go on anything that you want to make sure that that's the overriding rule.
Right, right. Yeah, this really starts to come into place when you have a lot of CSS. And sometimes there's like a lot of CSS. And then there's stuff conflicting with other stuff. And you're like, why is this not working? It's because something in some CSS in another file is conflicting with this CSS. It just gets really messy. And that's why this important flag is here. So yeah.
I wanted that to show up what would be good practice without using the important flag.
So if you didn't want to use the important flag, let me just make sure. So I'm gonna take out the important flag, right? Now we're back to the regular font. I think the reason why I wasn't adding it is because this reset CSS is underneath the main .css. But let me check it. I'm gonna put this on top and see if this works. Yeah, and that was the reason why. So CSS, the reason why this works now that this is up top is because CSS is right from top to bottom. The things towards the bottom take priority. So we had the reset CSS towards the bottom, and the reset CSS gives everything. It should be like a font family in here. maybe one of these rules kind of override the font some type of way. But as soon as I added it as soon as I added it before and added this after, we're good. So yeah, this is saved. So yeah, we got the right font now. Or another thing you can do is directly style this. If I was to do let's see, start shopping, this ID here, and go to main CSS, start shopping, I can just drop it right in here. And I didn't have to put it anywhere else. But the reason I put it all the way up top is because I want all of the font on the whole page to reflect this font. And I didn't want to keep writing it over and over. But yeah, you could do it this way, and this would have worked automatically. So
Is there a record? Quick question. Can you go to your HTML record? I'm just trying to see. I'm having a little confusion where you put your paragraph at. Okay, start shop at top left. I got it. I understand now. I'm good.
and I'm gonna drop this whole HTML file in the chat in case anybody's look a little bit different. Why is it not pasting? No, I said I was gonna have a better way to do this. That's not pasting. Copy. Maybe it's just too much text. Okay, that was too much text. I just
Why don't
copied.
you use a Google Doc?
Well, yeah, I could use Google Doc. Yeah, I use Google Doc actually. It's not going to format correctly, but like it'll still
You say won't format correctly if you paste it in the Google Doc and we copy and paste it into the doc? Is there some script or something like that
it won't format correctly. And it's not even letting me edit it. I don't think you can edit. It doesn't like me edit the HTML here, but yeah, I pasted in that. Next class, I'm definitely gonna try to figure out better. Actually, I'm gonna drop a link in the chat.
So
for-
right now it's in the so right now the text, I mean the code is in the chat right now.
Yeah, the code is in the chat, but I'm dropping it in a different spot here, and I'm gonna drop the link for y'all because this is gonna update every time you refresh the page. And I'm gonna drop the CSS in here also. So this is another way of submitting, like practicing code online. I'm gonna drop this link in the chat, and I'm gonna just update the code here, and you can just copy that whole file and just drop it into yours. You should see the changes here every time I do an update. Let me leave that open for us. All right. So now we have, hold on, where's the, that's right. Where is the text? Okay, that was the wrong file, that's fine. Okay, so now we have the text here. I'm gonna go back to the template to see what we can do with that. And I'm gonna actually remove these background colors also, this white and this black and white, because we know that these line up where they're supposed to line up.
Quick question. I took the code that was in the the chat and I copied it. Was I erasing the existing HTML code or just copying it below that?
You were erasing the existing one. What I would do though, go to that last link and just copy the whole file and just paste that whole thing in there because it's going to work as soon as you do that.
In the JS F fiddle, right?
Right, the JS fiddle, right?
Okay.
All the HTML here and all the CSS is on this side. I'm gonna keep updating this as I write more stuff.
Got it.
Yeah. So what I want to do is move these two background colors. That's the top right. And actually, hold on. Where is? These are these two sections down here. This image section and the start shopping section, and just so that we can see this side by side. You can see it here. This is the IMG, and this is the the start shopping section. I'm just gonna remove these background colors because we don't need them anymore. You're gonna see a red, you're gonna see a yellow squiggly line here, but don't worry about that. It doesn't mean anything, just a warning. If I refresh this, we're back to that same purple here. So if I look at the mockup, I can see this text is white. So what I'm gonna do is make the text of this section white, because most of this is white. This is like a gray color here, and there's a black color here, but for the most part, like these things are the color white. And the way I do that, since I know that this section here, but the whole purple section is the top left, I'm gonna go to the top left in the CSS here, and I'm gonna change the color to white. And just so that we're getting used to using those hex colors, white as a hex color is all Fs, 6 Fs, or you can write 3 Fs as a shortcut, but I would just write 6 Fs. It don't have to be capital or lowercase. I'm gonna copy everything here and put this over also. If I refresh this, we see that the color is white. Let me update the CSS in the GS fiddle for anybody. You can refresh your page, you should see the changes. But now we have the text of white here. So another thing that is different is this font size is a lot bigger here. So I'm literally just gonna write this better when it's on you. Let me write that here instead of this Lauren text. Better the caps. Okay. It's on you, period. So first thing I'm gonna do here and refresh, and now we got that text right there. Now I have to increase the font size. I'm gonna do that with the dev tools because it's good that we get used to using it. So I'm gonna just literally just right click this text and then press inspect, and that should bring it up directly. Yeah, so it brings it up directly in the dev tools. It's already highlighted, but in case it doesn't highlight for you, it's going to be inside of the top left. So we open up top left and we're inside of this start shopping div. So I'm gonna click just start shopping here, and actually I'm gonna click this paragraph right here. I'm gonna start that paragraph specifically. Then I'm gonna update the font size. I'm gonna just play around with it until I get something that looks good. Let's see, I just use pixels actually. 100 pixels. And also I'm gonna update the font width. So font width. With font width, you can, let's just cross that. Let me zoom in really quick in case this looks a little bit small for anybody. Font width, oh, font weight, I'm sorry, font weight. And font weight are like multiples of 100. Press down, I'm able to adjust the font width. I think 800 looks good. Actually, let me see, I think 600 looks good. Let me just double check. I think it's about 600. So I'm gonna leave it at 600. Then I'm gonna just copy these styles. Let's see this question. Can you show? Takes out the.
So Isaiah, just quick question. So where I was I see on my screen after we did the last copy and paste from the JS from the JS Google, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I copied that and I pasted it in, so I have the lorem ipsum the Latin text in my white box, my white div.
Right.
So that's where I was. Now, where do we go from there? Because I lost you from that point.
Yeah. So you have the lorem there. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm about to drop the updated code in there. And so what I had done was I got rid of the background colors, and that's why this is now,
Purple.
and I added the lorem, and now in the dev tools is when I start adding the font size and the font weight. So I'm gonna drop the updated CSS in there so that you can see it on your side the same. Just but first let me drop this in there. So I had updated the font weight and the font size, right? The way I target this paragraph is first I want to target the start shopping ID, because start shopping is the parent of this paragraph. And this is something I got to add to my course. I'm just realizing I didn't do that. So you press start shopping, and then you press a space, and then you put a P for the paragraph tag. What this does is it targets that top div, and then it goes further into it and only targets the paragraph tag within the start shopping. Let me increase this font size also. So what I'm gonna do is copy, where is it? Copy this stuff inside of there. And then I'm gonna drop the updated code in the JS fiddle. Copy that in there. And I'm gonna refresh to make sure this still works. So everything looks good. Let me drop this updated CSS in the JS fiddle. You can refresh your page there, and it should you should see the updated code. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to the mockup, and I can see like there's like a small section on top of it. It just says there's like a heart right there, and it says surprising. I'm just gonna write surprising up top. I'm not gonna put the image in there. So if I go to the HTML, I can see that this is the section here, that start shopping section, which is here. I'm going to add a span tag. Actually, I'm gonna add another paragraph tag, and I'm going to add, what does it say? Surprising. Yeah. And now that I added this paragraph tag, we're going to see that something's going to mess up. We can see surprising here, and it's as big as the stuff down here, and that's because we're targeting all of the paragraphs inside of our CSS. So what I'm going to do, instead of targeting all of the paragraphs, I'm gonna give this paragraph an ID, and I'm gonna switch the way we select it in the CSS after I give it an ID. I'll just give this an ID of large text. And I'm gonna change this selector to large text, since we're selecting by ID now. And I'm gonna drop these two in JS Fiddle after I check. So that this is only one being affected now. Let me drop this whole thing in here. It's not what I need to do. Copy. Paste. And the CSS is here. Okay. So now we have this, and we have,
I'm confused. You're not helping.
and we have this.
I'm like behind because I was like,
And so I have surprising here, as small text, and I got the big text there. The next thing I want to do.
One second. So you dropped the CSS code in the JS fiddle. I copied that, and I'm still for some reason just getting the lorem ipsi dolor, and I don't see the purple.
Right. Did you refresh it? I think it should update if you refresh.
I did hit refresh. Let me make sure. Back into my code here. Should you, in terms of CSS file, we should be on line 45 based upon the new code that you dropped, right?
You said line 45. Well, you should, I think, so the CSS should go to line
Line
50.
50.
Yeah, and HTML should go
Must
to,
be some, there must have been some code that did not
I
copy.
don't
So
think
go back.
I don't think the J fiddle is updating, fam.
okay. Let me, that is, okay, I see. So the thing that's up, yeah, there's, I'm gonna keep dropping the link in there. The reason you don't see the updated code is because it says /4 here. And the first thing I saw says, the first thing I pasted says /1. So it's keeping track of all of the versions. So if you update that number every time I update it, it'll update, but I'm just gonna keep dropping that link in the chat. I didn't realize that it doesn't keep the exact same URL.
Oh,
Yeah, it's changing the versions every time I update it. Yeah, my bad on that. So
it's not a real time. It's not a real time updater like Google Docs.
right. Well, so it updates. It updates when I save it, but then it changes the URL. This changes. Like the only thing that changes is the number in the back. It saves all the versions that I updated, which is a good thing, but in this context, it's not so good. So every time I paste code in here, I'm just going to drop the new link inside of that. Yeah. So I dropped that link if everyone want to copy that code. So the next thing I'm gonna do is add like some small text towards the bottom here. And I'll just add some lorem text because I don't feel like copying that whole thing. I'm gonna put that inside of the HTML under where it says better when it's on you. Just gonna add some lorem text here. Just gonna probably delete some of this so that, okay, that's about 2 lines there. So let me drop this in JS Fiddle and then drop the updated code in there as well.
Hey, question, Isaiah. Are you just doing the spans and paragraph tags just to kind of save time instead of doing the divs and like the images and stuff like that?
So I mean, I could do a little different. I mean, I did this div here, this first one, and I mean, I could put more divs inside of there, but
Just question, like with the surprising part, like you could have made a div, right, and then put the image of the heart inside the div, and then put the text in there, right?
right, yeah, I could have did that.
Okay.
The reason I didn't is because I didn't want to look for a heart image and then
Got you. Okay. That's all I was trying.
yeah, you could do that, yeah, and I like that you broke that down even further because that's how you're supposed to think about it, to be honest. Breaking down those small components. I'm just not including everything just for the sake of time. And I'm realizing that it's close to 11 o'clock. So I'm just gonna find an image online really quick, add it here, and then we'll take like a 15-minute break so that people get time to, have a break. But I'm gonna grab an image, right? I'm gonna grab it from online really quick. I should have grabbed it beforehand. I'm gonna go to Pixabay. I'm gonna drop this link in the chat in case anybody wanna look through it. And I'm just gonna type a PNG because I need an image that has like a background that's cut out. So I type PNG inside of the search box. I'm just gonna pick a random image from on here. I'll just pick this car actually. I'll drop the
I'm not the one to stop to interrupt and ask questions. When I was doing like the markers, I use a picture of Maxwell. So if you get it off like a site, is that like illegal?
for Pixabay, it's not for some images.
Like I use like a singer, but I did, you know, put the source in the code.
Yeah, if you
But is
don't,
that like illegal?
no, I mean, if you're not selling it, if you're not profiting off of it, then no, it's not.
Oh, that's the only way they can like get you if you profit off of it.
Right, exactly. But a lot of the images on here, it says that you can use it for commercial use or you can like profit off. I forgot the exact wording for it. I'm just gonna,
In this case, what would this would be falling under the educational exemption element of the copyright code. So we're in the context of a class, and we can use images and stuff like that for the purposes of our projects, our group projects. But as you know, if you get the idea that you want to go and then sell your group project for some money or start making money
So
off
as long as I don't
project,
sell it, like I can use the images because I got it off like a fan website, but it said, you know, the source.
yeah, just
No.
for this class purpose, you can use anything that falls under the, again, educational exemption of the copyright code.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
yeah, damn. Educational exemption for the copyright code. Okay, thanks. But thanks for the lawyer in here. But yeah, I'm just a picture of an apple. I know it's not the best picture, but I'm just gonna download this and I'm gonna drop this in the I'm gonna drop this in a project. Yeah. I'm gonna drop this in the drive also for anybody.
So you dropped the text for the, or you just dropped that into the project folder, you said, or are you dropping it in the GSS?
Yeah, I dropped it inside of the project folder where the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is. But I'm about to put this inside of the drive also in case anybody want to download it, and then drop it in there. But I'm gonna put it in the correct folder also, so you can just download the whole thing if you want. I'll put this picture of an apple here. So we have that, and what I'm gonna do is, this is that image div. So that's here. Instead of using the image tag, I'm gonna do something. Actually, I'll just use the image tag because I don't want to introduce too many new concepts. So I'm gonna use the image tag. And after you, why is this not? Yeah. For some reason it did not update. I'm gonna close this out and open this back up. For some reason it didn't update on my side. So y'all may have to do the same thing and drag this over to VS Code. Okay, now I see the actual fruit picture inside of there. So back here. So I have fruit here, right? I'm gonna go into, wait, where is, I added to the wrong folder. I downloaded.
I did not see where he saved this shit. I think he saved it in his project folder.
Yeah, it should be in HTML. Yeah, let me drop this here.
Yeah. Wait, did he save it as an HTML document or something else? Nah, yeah, there's no option to change it. Okay. I'm gonna just name it. I wanted to use a different picture. I don't want to use a damn apple.
You're not on mute.
I found a T-Rex.
Question: you go to the Google Drive. You've shared that with all of us, right? Using our existing emails, or is that, or can you put the Google Drive link into the chat?
Yeah, I just dropped the link. It should be, you should have it in the, I dropped the link off for the drive inside of the, in the group chat also. But you can go to it from there, or I just dropped the direct link in there. So, yeah. So I have, you can just download it from there, just drop it into your folder. And I'm just going to write the name of this image.
So, so now I have the image. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to follow you. I have the image. I'm looking at the folder in the PNP file. So do we, how do we drop that into our text? I mean, drop that into our code rather.
So let me drop the updated code. But basically what I did was go into this div and then put an image tag. And then I put the name of the image that I'm dropping inside of that here.
Fruit.png.
Right. Yeah.
And so you have created that name fruit.png. How does it know to go into your folder and actually pull that out?
Yeah. That's a good question. So the source attribute, where this search attribute exists is the current file that you're currently in. So, I mean, the current folder. So since this HTML is inside of this HTML projects folder, when I
Oh, I
start,
see it. I see it now. I see it's so. Oh, your own project folder. You should have the fruit.png. So how do I now? So I see it inside of your Google folder. How do I upload the fruit.png inside of my HTML project folder?
you can, so what you can do is download it from here.
Got it.
And then after it's downloaded, you can just drag it into the folder. You can drag it into your project folder.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, if anyone want to use that feature I just saw where you're like writing on the screen and to point something out, like feel free to do that because that'll help me out also. I saw somebody just do that, but yeah, I didn't notice that there was a pin here at the bottom in the annotation. But yeah, just drop it into the folder and it should show right there.
Can you drop all of that stuff in the chat, please?
The code or
Yes, the code for the HTML, CSS.
yeah. So let me put the link. So I had put the code into JS Fiddle. Let me clear this out. One moment. Fix this. Okay. So all of this updated code is inside of this link here. Let me drop that towards the bottom. If you click on not that. I'm sorry. Hold on. This here. Copy this. And I'm gonna paste that here. If you go there, you can copy everything inside of the HTML and put it into your file and the CSS.
Did you cut the background out of the fruit, out the apple, to make it black like that, or that's just that?
Let me see how it looks. So it's cut out automatically from this website from Pixabay.
Oh, okay.
It shouldn't be black. Does it look something like this? It should be like oversized on the screen. But yeah, it should look like this with nothing in the background at all. So this image is way too, this is big, this is too big. So I'm gonna adjust the size of this image. I'm gonna adjust it in the CSS. First, I'm gonna give this image an ID. I'll just name it like picture. I'm gonna drop the updated code also as soon as I update this. I'm gonna put that here and I'm gonna just change the height to 300 pixels and see if this works, if this looks good. do 400 pixels, and I'll drop the code. I think 400 pixels is better. I'm gonna do the HTML
So
also.
quick question, what line did you put the tag for the Apple?
Yeah, the tag for the Apple. That's on line 28. I just now put the updated code also in JS Fiddle. But yeah, it's on line 28. It's in between the this div here with the ID of ING. So all the code is there, and you should see something that looks like this.
Did you have to refresh the, did you put the new link for the JS Fiddle into the,
Yeah, yep. It should be the one that ends in 8, like number 8. Should be that last link there. Let me just save it again and drop another link just in case that one didn't update.
I think I realized maybe the problem too with the JS Fiddle is the fact that if we all just click the link, we're not signed in, right? So if we all signed in like before class, I think that it'll probably update automatically if we was all signed in. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I never even signed in either. Yeah, that might be it. Wow. Go ahead.
That's for future classes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We can all take a break now. I'm gonna still be here. We can take a break until 11:20. I'm gonna still be here for anybody that have questions, and I'll just start the class back up at 11:20, so you can, get some time to get drinks or whatever. So, yeah. Did someone else have a question? I heard someone talking.
Yeah, so I actually had a couple questions. My first question is, what's the difference between using pixels for your sizing rubric or using the other
Or there's a few different ones. So the difference is pixels. Pixels is like the pixel on your actual computer, because we have a certain amount of pixels there. Now, if you use, let's say you use M, right? M is, this size is a relative size. So it's like a percentage almost. But you can think of M as 16 pixels. 16 pixels equals 1 M. That's the difference. So this is going to be 16 times bigger than this one. But I said is relative because once you have something with M and you go, and if it has a child, like that child's now default size is a little bit bigger because its parent is using it. It's confusing. Let me start using more of the story. We have M, and then we have something called rem. And rem is always relative to the actual page. So this is always going to be 16 pixels. So one rem always equals 16 pixels, whereas one M doesn't always equal 16 pixels. So you can use rem also. So we have pixels, we have M, we have rem, we have viewport. So if we do VH, that's the viewport height. That's the percentage of the actual height of your screen. So if I say 50 VH, that's 50% of your screen, of the height of your screen. We have viewport width. That is the full width of your actual screen. I feel like there's more, but those are the only ones I use. And honestly, you switch between it. You switch between them depending on what you want to do. Like if you're like making an app for a phone, you want to use like viewport height and viewport width because the amount of pixels on a phone screen can change depending on what size phone you have. So, and you can probably use these relative ones also, M and rem. You don't really want to use pixels when it comes to like making phone apps. Yeah, there's trade-offs with all of them, but the ones I always use is pixels and M, and sometimes occasionally viewport. And rem, like even less than viewport. So yeah, it's really your preference. Just play around with them, see which one works for you.
All right, that's perfect. Thank you. And then I guess my second question or statement or whatever the case may be is I know I was supposed to meet up earlier, to get set up and everything like that.
Oh
So
yeah. I forgot, I completely forgot. I didn't recognize. Yeah, it's fine. Basically, all I was gonna say was that I was gonna give you a little rundown of the class. Basically, the point of the class is to increase Black representation in the tech field, and that's why I'm offering it for free. But the reason we have the paid course online is so that we're able to learn a lot faster and get through a lot more content in the course. So most of the learning is done, well, yeah, most of the learning is done outside of class. And that class itself is to put everything into practice that you're learning from the online course and
mm,
answer any questions. Um, but the goal is to eventually get to a point where the class is teaching itself. Like if someone asks a question and somebody else will know the answer, just feel free to just jump right in. I don't have to always be the one to answer questions. Um, that way it helps y'all like be more independent because that's really what we're trying to get to. So
Isaiah,
mhm.
um, so it's probably a crazy question, but after the class is done, will we still have the ownership, the class that we paid for, where we can always go back to like reference some videos and stuff like that, or it goes away when class is done? I always wondered that.
Yeah, that Udemy course, that's completely separate from the class. Like it's not dependent on the class. So you're gonna always have that.
Okay,
Also, I'm always gonna update that course. The
okay.
new cohorts I have, you're gonna always see new content added. And
Yes.
yeah,
All right.
I'm, yeah. Eventually I'm gonna get to something called React. I'm gonna add that to the course, and I'm gonna also add Python to the course
Okay,
later on down the line. So yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
Hey, Isaiah, I know we're on break right now. I know we only have 5 more minutes, but can I share my screen so we can just take a look at what's happening? Because I'm not getting the image that you have on your screen. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Yeah, I copied the HTML and the CSS,
try
but
restarting the program after you add the pig file to your folder.
what's that?
Try restarting the program after you add the pig file to your folder, the new folder 13022. Once you add the pig file in there, try restarting the whole program just like Blackio did, and it may update like that.
So yeah, just add the image. My bad. I put my business name. I just realized. Yeah, my name is Isaiah for anyone. Yeah, Black IO is my company name. But yeah, if you, yeah, like you said, like if you drop the image inside of that inside of that folder, it may update, but you may have to restart it. Did you
Oh,
already have the image
I
inside?
thought I thought I had.
Yeah. No. You don't have to create it. You don't have to create it. Um, go to the actual folder on your computer. I want to see like what's inside of there. Like if you go to your desktop. Yeah. The actual image itself, is it inside of that folder?
Yeah, that was right there.
Yeah, you gotta drag that into the folder. I wonder if it, yeah, you gotta do it actually from your desktop. It won't work through this way.
I have to add open file fruit.
From there, yeah, you can probably drag that to the folder from there. I'm not sure.
I thought it was it. What was it? Okay, open file fruit. Drag that into the
You gotta drag that into the
cinema folder.
that you're currently in.
Yes.
It might be easier to just go to your desktop and drag it in.
Desktop.
Like, minimize your text editor and then physically drop it into your desktop. Like there's a few different ways to do it, but yeah.
It's in my desktop. And what's the name? And I'm then on the put it into our.
Into the folder. You wanna-
Is it called a new folder or VS Code folder?
The folder you're in right now is that 13022. Right. So you can physically just drag that fruit folder into that. It looked like it probably dragged in there. Okay. So go back to your text editor, see if it's there. Okay, so it's there. Perfect. Yeah. So the reason it didn't drag over on my side is because I was in the wrong folder. I had two HTML project folders. That's why it didn't happen on my side. So it should automatically update every time you do that. Like something in there.
One more question on my
Yeah,
side.
here-
The class is in I mean, I'm sorry, you're on Eastern time, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy, so I was all right, cool. I'm gonna keep that in mind next time we start talking about times.
Yeah. You're in like
Central.
okay. Yeah.
All right, bet. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Can you see it? Can you see it now, that image? Top?
Yeah, do you see mine? I'm
No,
sorry.
I only see your text editor, but if you can see it, then it's fine. If you can see it on your side, it's all
Here.
good.
It is right here. See it?
No, you you're sharing a different screen. You only sharing your text editor.
Oh, really? How do I share? Okay, now share. You got it now?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Which browser are you using? Is that Chrome?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Probably because you got so many tabs up there, it's just like making it look so you got a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, that's good. That's how it's supposed to look. All right. Anybody else had any questions? Okay. All right, we'll start in a minute. It's already 11:20. We'll start at 11:21. You can stop sharing, Tyler. I'll just share mine. All right, we'll start. Look like it's 11:21 now. Okay. So let me arrange some of this stuff. All right, so this is where we are right here, and it may look a little different depending on your screen size, obviously. But yeah, the mockup is, let me put that back here. Now, both of these things are, well, we can see that this image is like towards the bottom of the screen, and this is like towards the middle. Someone is not on mute. So this one is like towards the middle of the screen. So first, what I'm gonna do is, or actually, I'm gonna create this. I'm gonna create this button first before I forget that one. And with this button, I'm gonna create this actually with a div. I'm not gonna use the button tag. I'm not sure if I taught the button tag in the course, but there is a button tag, and I purposely avoid not using it because it comes with some default CSS that I don't really like. So I'm gonna put a div. We'll put that under this. Actually, I'm gonna put that inside of start shopping. So right underneath the paragraph, create a div, and I'm gonna just name it button. I'm gonna give an ID of BTN for button. And that button, I'm gonna put a paragraph inside of that. And it's gonna say start shopping. I'm gonna leave out this arrow. I'm just gonna put this start shopping part here. Let me zoom back out. Start shopping. Cool. Let me refresh to see how that looks. And we can see, where's the apple? Did I delete it? Oh, I think why's the apple not showing now? Let me reopen this back up. Not sure what's going on with this.
Might be the picks and the rim.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, I forgot I added that. Yeah, that was definitely it. Okay. Yeah, so what happened? It made it so big that the only thing we were seeing was the edge of the of the apple that doesn't have anything in it. It probably was pushed all the way down towards the bottom of the screen. But yeah, thank you. So that's that, and we have the start shopping button here. We're gonna start styling this now. We can see that we're using like some yellow color right here. Let me get this. Let me get this exact color for us so that we can use that, and I'll paste the color in the chat also. It'll take a few seconds for me to do this. Accept cookies, whatever. Start generator. Take the picture. Desktop here. We want to get this color here. So that is this color right here. I'm gonna paste this in the chat. Actually, I'll put it in CSS, then I'll drop it whenever the code is updated. But let me I'll put it in chat anyway. That's the color. So I'm gonna go here, and this start shopping has an ID of BTN. So I'm gonna target this by ID, and I'm gonna give it a background color of that color. Refresh, and we can see that it has that background color. Now the difference is this is like stretching all the way across. We don't want it to stretch all the way across like that. So I'm going to give it a width. Because if you don't give it a width, it takes up as much width as it can. So I'm gonna open up the dev tools to start styling this, because I think that's going to be the fastest way to do that. Open this up, open up the elements tab, and press this button right here, and then I'm gonna click the yellow, and it brings me right to it. And if that doesn't work for you, just scroll through this HTML until you see it. So I'm going to click this div with the ID of BTN. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm gonna start changing the styling and give it a width. Let's say 10M. I'm gonna give it 10. I'm gonna give it a height. Say 6. I think that's too big. Say like 5. And then what I'm gonna do is, since it's actually a little bit smaller. Let's say 4. I think that's good. The width is a little bit bigger, it looks like. I'm just gonna say like 12. Just eyeballing it. So the difference between, so I have a height and a width here. This is not going to save yet until I copy it over. But we can see that this button has like some rounded corners here. It's not a square. It's like some rounded corners. So in order to do that in CSS, that CSS rule is called border radius. And you give it like a pixel amount. So I'm just going to say 1 pixel for now. I'm going to zoom in so you can start seeing the difference. The more I increase this, the more circular it gets. So that button is about like 40 pixels. I believe. And the next thing I'm gonna do is let me just copy this over so everybody had the updated code before I start changing more stuff. I'm gonna paste that here. Let me refresh. Everything still looks good. I'm gonna paste in this to the JS fiddle. And I'm gonna drop the updated code in the chat. All right, so now we have a button that looks almost the same as this one here. What I want to do now is make the text of the button black. And I also want to center the text inside of the button. Because right now, our button, the text is like all the way here on the side. It's not in the center. First, I'm gonna change the color. So if I go back to BTN and into CSS, I'm gonna just do color black. And save that. And now the color is black. Now I want to center this div. I mean the text inside of the button, which is a div. So I'm gonna click on this button. And the way I'm gonna do that is with display flex. Remember we were using display flex. Now we're about to use something else that flex has. So first you write display flex, and then you can write justify content center. And you see it centers it horizontally. And to center it vertically, we do align items center. And that perfectly centers this inside of there. Let me add this to the JS fiddle.
Oh, just to mention with the JF fiddle, you have to bring it back to the chat once you update it because it's not going to update automatically. Then we have to go to the J fiddle and click it. That's the only way to update.
Are you on? I dropped the link. I don't know if it updated in
Yeah,
there.
I
You
pressed it on the link in the chat and it updates on that side versus me pressing refresh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to press the link. Great. Let me put this here. We paste this in the JS fiddle and I'll update the link again. Make sure y'all click that link. Now it should say 11. If you don't want to keep clicking it, you can just change the number, the last number here, but you can click it to make it easier. So now that's in the center right there. Let me close this up. Now it's getting a little bit closer to this, even though it doesn't look completely the same. So we're about to now position these things so that they're in the correct positions. The first thing that's not in the correct position is this one. This one is like more towards the center of this whole thing. This section takes up this full width here. So we want to put this one like towards like the center of that. It's not exactly in the center, but it'll be close enough. Someone raised their hand just now. Someone have a question? Okay. So what I'm about to do is I'm gonna do this in the dev tools again, just so that we can see this happen in real time. We'll go down to this top section, open that up. So in top left, I'm gonna open this up. Inside of start shopping, you can see that whole thing is highlighted. I'm gonna click that. Then I'm gonna drag this back up to get the CSS rules. I'll click inside of here where it says element.styles, and I'm going to give this a display of flex because we use flex to like align things. That's basically what flex is. And then what I want to do is align this. I want you to notice that. Let me uncheck this. We can see surprising is right on this text. Surprising is on top of this text here. But as soon as we put this display here, we can see that it's lining up like right stack right after another. What I want to do is stack them on top of each other. In order to stack them on top of each other, we do flex direction and then column. So flex direction column. And flex direction column stacks them back on top of each other like they were. We can see everything stacked on top of each other. Next thing I want to do is justify content center. Now, before I told you that justify content center centers it horizontally, but when this is in the column orientation, this centers it like vertically. And if you if you don't remember that, just play around with it until you see it centered vertically. So we literally center all of the content directly in the center of this. If I hover over this, you can see that all of that stuff is in the center. So now I have those styles. I'm going to put that into the CSS and then update the JS fiddle. And this was all styled on the start shopping div. So start shopping is here. Let me refresh to see if it, okay, so it's still good. Let me give you the updated CSS and the link for it. Okay. So now we have that centered. The next thing we want to do is we want to center this. We're just going to center the image. We're not even going to, since it's just an apple, we're just going to make sure it's like directly in the center. So we're going to do the same thing. This, the IMG is here. We do the exact same thing. We can just do flex. Oh wait, I clicked on IMG. I'm gonna do display flex. We don't have to give it like a column orientation because there's only one thing here. We can just leave it like it is. Then we can just do align items center. That centers it vertically. And I'll give you this code also. That is inside of IMG. So IMG is here. The link in the chat. I'm gonna close this again to see how this looks now. Starting to look a little bit better. Now what we have to do is we can see that these things are spaced out a little bit more than ours. If we look at it on our side, we can see that it's all like stacked literally directly on top of each other. There's no margin here. So I'm going to add margin to all of these things so that they're separated from each other. Remember, those things are here, all of this stuff. So what I'm gonna do is I want to target the paragraphs here, and I want to target the div that's here. So I'm going to do start shopping. Make sure everything looks ordered. So we have start shopping here. I want to target the paragraphs inside of it. I'll put comma, and I want to target the divs inside of it. I'm going to give all of them a margin of 12 pixels. I'm going to see how that turns out. Okay, so now they're a little bit more spaced out. It looks a lot better. Let me paste this updated code into the JS fiddle. Cool. All right, so now it's starting to come to life a little bit more. We got the image and we got that text here. Now we're going to, I'm not going to get to this part yet. What I want to do is, we're going to do this section here, just so we got another section down. from looking at this, I can see that that there is a div here up top, and there's a div at the bottom. So we're going to split that up into two sections. So this top one, I'm gonna just name this discount section, and this one I'm gonna just name this just name it categories section. And this is in the top right div. So if I go to the HTML, I'm gonna close top left because we're done with that for now. I'm gonna open up top right is here. I'm gonna put two divs in there. The first one is the discount section. Discount section. And the second div, categories section, category by itself. And here's the JS Fiddle link for that small update. So now we have these two sections. We're gonna start putting stuff inside of them. We'll start with this top one here. I think this is a good this is an opportunity to show you like how to make this design with HTML and CSS. So if I'm looking at this, right, I can see that this whole thing is a section. First of all, within this section, we have a box. This is a box. So we're going to call this is going to be a div here. And inside of that div, we have two things. We have the percentage and we have some text. And I'll show you how to make this. We can see that like the box looks like it's being cut off right here. Like whenever it gets to text, I'll show you how to do that with HTML and CSS. But first, let me create this inner box here. I'll just make a div inside of the HTML file. And I'll drop this code after I'm done all of it, just for the sake of time. So I have a div here, right? And inside of that div, we saw that we had two things. Let's say two paragraph tags. One said 25%, and the other one says max discount. It's all caps, max discount. Okay. So let me refresh this to see what we have, to see how this looks. Here, refresh. Yeah, we can see it here all the way up top. 25% and max discount. Next thing we want to do is position this. Actually, we're gonna create it first, and then we're gonna position it where it needs to be. So let's go back to the picture, and we can see that there's like a border around this div. This is that div that the inner div that we just created. So I'm going to give it a border. We can also see that there's some border radius, just like we did with the button to make it smooth. I'm gonna give this a border radius as well, so that the corners are not as sharp. So I'm gonna give it a border and then a border radius. Let me do that in the dev tools so that we won't have to guess and check. So top, it's in top right. Go to this here, the discount section. I'm gonna open that up and go into this div. This is that inner div. I'm gonna give it a border of so say 1 pixel for now. It's gonna be a solid border, and yeah, the color is gonna be black. I'm just gonna put black here to make it to explicitly say that this has a border of the color black. So that is that. Now what I want to do is make sure that it's not stretched all the way across. So I'm going to give it a width, and I'll play around with this. Let's just say 10M. I'll just do like 12M. I think that looks about right. And I'm gonna give it a height, say 4M. I'll just do 5M. Let me see how it looks. I think that's good enough. We'll adjust it later on if it's not. Then I'm gonna give it a border radius to make those corners smooth. So I think it's about that. Let's see, 14 pixels. Also, I noticed that the stuff inside of it is actually centered. So I'm gonna give it display flex. And since I want these two things to stack on top of each other, I'll do flex direction column, just like we did before. So now they're stacked on top of each other. And if I want to center this vertically, we do justify content center. I'm gonna center horizontally also, align items center. Now let me throw all of this stuff in JS Fiddle. That is inside of, that's the inner div. So
Actually, Isaiah, I have a question, man. Can you explain display flex again? That kind of like, what does that do again?
yeah. So display flex helps us align HTML elements on the screen. Without this display flex, all of this stuff goes away. This flex direction, justify content, align items. These things don't work unless we have the display flex there. It's basically like an alignment tool.
So it like sets the organization of what you're putting in, and then like the flex direction lets it know it's going to be columns instead of like vertical
Row.
or instead of like horizontal rows.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It
And then what? And then explain justify content. Like what is that? So that's for the content in the middle, not the padding, not the margins, and it's just for the content, right?
Right, exactly. So the content inside of it. So let me put this back at column really quick. So what we put display flex on is this div. Everything that's inside of it is going to be affected. So all of its children, it's going to align all of the children of whatever that display flex thing is. So yeah, it just affects it just aligns. It doesn't really do anything with margin. Well, I think it may be adding some, but like it's just making sure it's directly centered. So yeah. Let me add this to, okay. So we were inside of discount section. So first I'm gonna create a CSS rule for that. Let's go put this down here. Discount section, but we were inside of the inner div. So I'm just gonna put space and then div, and then drop all of those styles into the text editor. Save this. Let me refresh, and then if it still works, okay. Let me drop all of this inside of the JS Fiddle. And I'm not sure if I changed anything in the HTML, but just in case. Okay, drop this link in the chat. Okay. All right, so now we're getting close. We're getting close to that design. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this discount thing here. We can see discount has the same color also as this button. So I'm literally just going to use the same color as that. And then I'm gonna align it down here so that we get this effect. Let me go to the code, and I'm gonna actually give this an ID because I want to target this thing. I'm gonna say discount text. Excuse me. Discount text is what I'm gonna call it. Go to HTML. Go to the CSS. Got discount text. I'm gonna give it a color of, where's that orange color at? Here. This is gonna be the text color. That. And I'm gonna give it So what I'm about to do, let me just refresh so you can see that. So the color did change. What I'm about to do, right, is give it some padding. And then I'm gonna give it a background color. And what that's gonna do is fill up, is make this whole thing as like the paragraph. And I think it's better if I show you how that looks first. First, I'm gonna give this, I'm gonna do it in the dev tools so that we can see it real time. I'm gonna give it, let me give it a background color first. I'm just gonna give it black for now. Then I'm gonna give it some padding. Right, padding, so 1 pixel, right? Then after I do that, what I can do is start to move this. We're gonna start to move this like more down because right now it's like directly in the center. What I want to do is position, trying to think that what's the best way to do this. Let me, I'm gonna do a few things first, and then I'm going to explain what I'm doing because I think it's better if I show you first and then explain after. First thing I'm gonna do is give this a position, and I'll go back over all of this stuff after I do all of this. Get this position at position relative. Position relative. Let me just show you really quick first. Position absolute here, and then bottom 0. And like I said, I'm going to go over all of this stuff after I do it, just so you can see how it transforms. And let me give this one. I'm gonna change the background color of this background color. I'm gonna change it to this color. First, I want you to notice that this is like this is the same effect that we get over here, where it looks like the box is being cut off. Now I'm realizing that this text is not actually the right color. But let me explain everything I just now did. What I did here was I first gave the parent of this paragraph tag a position of relative. And the reason I did that, I think the better way to show you it is to remove that. If I remove this position relative, then we can see that this positioned all the way towards the bottom here, towards the bottom of the screen. So what I want to do is make this relative to its parent. So in order to make that relative to its parent, I have to give the parent a position relative. And the paragraph gets a position of absolute. What that does is it aligns it anywhere on the screen. I think the best way to, let me see. It aligns this, it makes this paragraph, it makes all of the HTML elements ignore this paragraph. So essentially this paragraph can exist literally directly on top of this 25%. So now that this is position absolute, it ignores everything. It literally just sits on top. You can think of the HTML as layers, and position absolute sits on top of everything. And that's why when I uncheck bottom, it drops directly on top of it. But if I put bottom here, bottom 0, it positions it at the bottom of its parent, of the closest parent that has position relative, which is the div. I know this all probably sounds very confusing, but there's a video on the course that like explains this also like in much more detail. But since this has 0, this is now positioned at the bottom of its parent, and I'm going to decrease this number to position it exactly where I want it to be, which is at the bottom, but like but a little bit past the bottom. You can see the parent is here. And if I make this 0, we're directly at the bottom. But if I start to decrease it, it goes more, it goes like under, it starts to come outside of the div in a sense. But let me Any questions on that? I can explain that again, like if somebody need me to explain it again.
No, just so basically negative, if it was -0 at the bottom, it would be at the edge of the div, the very edge.
Right, yeah. So if it's 0, yeah, it goes directly at the edge of the div. And this
Okay,
this happens with like this is bottom, right? I can do left also and put that all the way towards the left side. We can do top, right, bottom, and left. You can see it's all the way towards the left side. The more I increase this, it pushes it away from the left. But if I decrease this number, it starts to pull it towards the left, makes it negative.
I got you. I was just trying to figure out as far as like with styling with CSS, if you want to go outside the div, basically you have to use negative numbers is kind of what I was getting at. Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
I'm going to put this back here. So it's about 15. And let me give everybody the updated code for this. This is for discount text. So that is here. And also I gave its parent the discount, what's a discount section? No, it's the div that's inside of the discount section. I gave this one, the div that's inside of the discount section. I gave this a position of relative. And save this and refresh to make sure it still looks the same, and it does. All right, let me drop the updated CSS. And honestly, this is a prime example how like how much stuff CSS can do and why it's kind of impossible to teach everything, because there's so much CSS. There's so many edge cases. There's so many things you had to see before you actually go to read about it to know what it actually does. So, but all this stuff is gonna start to become like it's gonna start to like you're gonna start to remember it the more and more you use it. And I've used this a lot, which is why I remember this stuff. All right, so what time is it? Got 5 minutes left. Now let me so in those 5 minutes, I'm just gonna fine tune this a little bit more. The first thing I had noticed is that text is not the same color. This is actually a little lighter than this. So let me, I'm gonna get the actual color of this text. I'll update that.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
And the shape that you made, the div that you made with that outline, how come you just didn't make like a just a white div with a white background and just set the max discount right on top of that? Why'd you use the padding?
Oh, this why I used to I could have put a div there. Yeah. I just put padding because I thought it would be a shortcut. But you're saying that if I put this paragraph inside of a div and then give that div a background color.
Yeah, if you just gave it a white background, wouldn't it do the same thing in a way?
Well, not white, but like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like whatever color.
Yeah, to match the background of the background, the parent background div's color.
Yeah,
Match it with that, because then it would just blend right in.
right. It would do the same thing.
Okay.
The different, I think this might be a little bit better, because if you put a div here, now you gotta give that div display flex, and you gotta center the content inside of it. So you got to adjust content line items, whereas you give it padding, it's automatically in the center. But it's really,
Gotcha.
but I like how you like thinking of alternatives, because that's like there's no real right answer to all of this stuff, to be honest. It really just depends on the situation. But yeah.
No, I'm asking though, because that's a good question. That's you just answered my question though, because basically that saves lines of code. You know what I mean? That's extra code that I now don't have to write. You know what I mean? So I was just trying to figure out like why you decided to take that route versus another route. That's all.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Actually, last lines are cool. Yep. Let me get this text color in here. I think that's about right. So I'm gonna change that to this. Okay. Let me put this color in the chat if anybody want to update that on there, and also, and I'm updating that inside of this discount text CSS rule. Go back, refresh, and now we got the correct color. Now I'm going to increase this font size up to 25. because I know it's a little bit bigger than that. Let's say 2M. I'll just say 2M, and I'll actually increase the font weight also to make it a little bit more thicker. Let's make it 6M. Yeah, I think that's about right. And let me see. So 25 right now, it doesn't have an ID. I'm going to give it an ID since I'm now targeting this. I'll give this an ID of percent. And go to the CSS percent. And if you haven't noticed, like I'm trying to keep all of the relevant CSS together. I have like everything that's like together on the HTML page is like together in the CSS so that we keep it all as organized as possible. But save, refresh. Okay, that's good. Let me change this font size here, and then I'll give you the updated code. Okay, this, I'm just going to start with pixels. Let's say these bars. I'm just going to give it 12. Let me change the font weight. It's a little bit thicker. Say 700. And I'm going to change this position a little bit more too. I'm going to change that to 13 to make that in the center. That's this one here. This got changed to 13, and I added some stuff. Refresh, and it still looks good. So let me give y'all the updated HTML and CSS. That's updated HTML and CSS. So it's 12. We'll call it from here. Any questions? I'll stick around for any questions, but if there's no questions, you're free, and I'll stop the recording also.
Hey, I've been waiting. My freaking picture's not showing up. I don't know why. Like I follow
yeah.
everything else, but my picture's just not showing up.